Is this on? Is this on? Good, good, good. And hello, and welcome to episode 3 of this. So this is episode 3. And we've got, an interesting development thing ahead of us for episode 3, because I got into contact a few days ago with a friend who knows of a path that goes from about here all the way to a campsite that we can use, which is absolutely fantastic. So just a quick heads up that happened. That's really nice. So quick shout out to Sophie, who lives in Sunderland, who has done that walk herself. So that's a nice little shout out to her. That's that done. Anyway, so thank you, Sophie. So what we have to figure out with this, essentially, in terms of just this episode, is obviously the whole walk in general, but it's going to be pretty simple, I think, or at least it should be simple. Yeah, it should be really, really simple. So obviously on the last... wait for that to come in. On the last episode, we were like thinking that it was going to take ages to get where we wanted to be and all that stuff, and that didn't happen in the end. And so what we now have is episode 3. And this episode is about trying to get from this travel lodge to the campsite. So what I've been able to already scout ahead so far is how to get from here to the start of Sophie's path. So we start at Travel Lodge and we go along here to the main road, and we'd walk down this main road and come to here, and I think the idea is we just stay on this main road and keep going down this main road and down the main road until we get to here, and there's actually a road called Promenade Road which leads to the promenade, which is hilarious. So we get to the promenade and walk along the promenade and walk along the promenade, but we can't walk all the way to the promenade because the promenade goes into the water for some reason, which doesn't make a lot of sense. So when we come to the very first path on the promenade, we should just go up onto the path and go along the path here and just stay on this path. And this is the path that will take us most of the journey for day 3. So if I just zoom out a little bit here, because this path just stays on the cliffside, yeah, it goes over here, comes over here, comes over here, goes through here, and we want to make sure that we're on this path here, not this path. She wanted to make that very clear. There are 2 paths. Do not go on the one next to the train tracks, at least not yet, because we'll get stuck. So we go with this one. And we can't go down onto the beach because, well, pretty dangerous, to be honest. But yeah, for the most part. Now, this was one of the problem areas that I was talking to her about for a long time. I was like, we can't get through this because there's a giant gap here. And she's like, yeah, there is, but did you know that you can just come out here and go down here and then back onto the path? And I'm like, no. So yeah, we can go along here, down here, back onto the path, which is really nice. So a problem area that was a problem area is no longer a problem area, which is nice. That's a nice thing to know, because that would have ruined that whole thing, and we would have been like, oh my god, I have to find a way up there. But we don't have to, so that's good. Anyway, so we would continue down here, and the path still continues on, passing behind a car boot sale. And this takes us to the Seaham main car park. And this takes us... yeah, and this takes us down to the main road here. But if the tide is out, we can make our way down here onto the glass beach and walk along the beach. The beach does have an area promenade we can use to walk on the promenade as well, so we can walk on the promenade or the beach and stay on the promenade and stay on the promenade and stay on the promenade and stay on the promenade. Really nicely done that we can just stay on the promenade and then make our way back up onto the path and stay on a path for a bit and then walk a little bit through some of Seaham's area here, and then just keep on this path and then turn. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky because of the marina they've got here that doesn't quite fix to anything. So I was like, okay, so what do we, I mean, where do we, go from here? So it's like a bit crazy. But anyway, so if we were on this road here, we would simply, and this was just a bit nuts, but anyway, just cross over here, simply cross here, and then go down this mainstream road, cross over. There's a small path that heads alongside it as well. Stay on either one, doesn't matter which one you stay on. And then stay on that path for most of the duration to this point. And then there's a path that walks alongside the road. We get onto that, and then we start following that path, and then that path continues and then keeps going and keeps going and finally turns back into a path that we can follow, and it turns into this, and then the path continues. So we go past Chemical Beach and Blast Beach. There is a point of reference just for things like things we do pass. I completely forgot. At the pier, I think. Yeah, there is a Tommy World War I sculpture. That's something of interest. There was a church back there, but unfortunately it goes a little bit off the beaten trail, so it might not be a place we want to stop off at. Anyway, so we've got this path, and this path keeps on going, and it keeps on going, and it keeps on going, and keeps on going, and it's just essentially following this path. And hang on. Oh, right, this was the bit. Yeah, this was the bit where we were like, another bit where I was like, how do we do this? There's no way to get over the train track. And it's like when we get to Jordan Point, there's a bridge. We cross over the bridge, get over to this side where the quarry is. But we follow this track here down into this forest area here for the Hawthorn Hive, get across the burn that'll be there, and find ourselves onto this path. We then keep walking along this path, we keep going and keep going until we get to Shippers Bay, zoom in a bit, cross over the train tracks again, walk through these fields, walk through this small patch field here that goes through these fields here, get to this track path, follow this track path up, turn here, and voila, we're at our destination for the end of day 3. And that is it for episode 3. Legit. That's 7 miles from there to our destination, but there isn't that much to cover really in this one, so this is why this episode 3 has been super quick, because again, thanks to Sophie for being able to be a whiz with that. So yeah, obviously I'll make the day 3 report and add in any additional things that we need to know and stuff, but episode 3 is pretty straightforward, pretty easy as a video. Not much to go into really. But there we go. That's episode 3. See you on day 3. Adios. Goodbye.